60,000 babies are born prematurely every year in the UK, and the cause of almost half of all preterm births is unknown. It's a cause close to the hearts of our next guests, who are aiming to raise £500,000 for research during a trek to the North Pole.
Rugby legend Will Greenwood, SAS hero Jason Fox will battle the extreme cold and unpredictable weather conditions on their fundraising journey. Interestingly, Jason himself born 2 months early, while Will and his wife Caro lost their first child, Freddie, who was born at just 22 weeks and lived for only 45 minutes. They join us now. Good morning to you. Good morning. So in a way, Will, you're sort of recreating the struggle that prem babies have to survive, aren't you? Yeah. And it's very personal to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this came about 2002. We lost Freddie, and then during the World Cup of '03. I had a phone call from Mark Johnson, sort of a living saint, who said Caro's going through the same process again whilst they're out of the World Cup. I flew back, and thankfully over the course of the next 3 or 4 months, Mark managed to keep Archie, who's now just turned 14, and we discovered that it was an incompetent cervix, and so Mark Johnson created this charity called Borne, and basically it's like a bat phone that he rings me. He doesn't ring me very often, but when he requires some funds and some research, he feels he's on the edge of achieving something really special, he goes, right, Will, you're off somewhere. And I said, where this time? So North Pole. So it's a mission where I'm trying to create a situation whereby everyone around the planet can get an almost virtual Mark Johnson through his research and work.
Caro, for any mother to go through what you went through, it's an unimaginably awful situation to have a little baby that just lives for 45 minutes. How did you deal with that? And how important to you is this work now to try and help others not be in that position?
In answer to your first question, how did I deal with that? Obviously, you don't have a choice. When life throws something at you, you have to deal with it in the way that you can, and you're never, ever prepared for that. So when it happened, I went into spontaneous labour. So whilst we were told what to expect, you never truly prepare yourself for that, because that's just human survival. So you go into survival mode, and it was time is a healer, and it was a while ago now, and it was a very, very, very difficult time and a difficult period which I'll never forget. But our feeling as a family was that we didn't want him to be born for no reason at all. I'm very much in the belief that everything happens for a reason. Now, whilst it was and continues to be the most difficult time of my life, what we are doing is creating a legacy for him. Yeah. We are getting some positivity out of something that's so difficult and so horrific, and so many people go through.
Do you lost your baby because of this condition, incompetent cervix?
That's correct.
Do you think if there is more research into premature birth, that events like that can actually be prevented?
Absolutely.
Did you know that was a risk at the time, or?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So we know very, very little. No significant research has been done in the last 50 years. So considering we are all born, this affects everybody. Yeah. We know very, very little. Usually people are told, we just don't know why this happens. And over 80% of people that go into premature labour have absolutely no idea that they will. It just happens.
Jason, you're an SAS hero, so we expect you to do stupid things like trekking around the North Pole, pulling a sled of 120 kilometres for 6 to 7 days in temperatures of minus 50 to 60. Well, you're a World Cup winning rugby star. I don't have quite as much confidence in you
Everyone's asking
with
me
this sled as I do in the SAS guy. But Jason, how's he getting on with training? Because apparently you two were caning it in the Groucho Club last night, which doesn't sound to me like particularly good training.
Piers, raising money.
You need to have an off day every now and again, so yesterday was an off day. But no, the training, for me, it's more about, and I mean, Will is a fit guy, he's in good shape for an older guy. But it's about having a base level of fitness, and then it's all in the head, it's all in the mind.
How risky is this kind of expedition?
As long as you're doing everything right, you sort of mitigate the risk.
I can't even imagine what minus 50 to 60 degrees is like.
It's cold.
Right.
And whenever ask me how I'm going to survive, I just refer to, I've got Jason.
Yeah.
Have you seen him on the
Caro, are you relieved
Can I
that
just
you've
say,
got an SAS guy with your husband?
I mean, you never really worry about something until it's sort of thrown into your face. But I've had countless people say, "How are you feeling about Will going?" I'm like, completely fine. Completely fine. Yeah.
But you were in the Special Forces, you were in the Special Boat Service. You faced a struggle to survive, a battle to survive, many different occasions and locations. But how do you think your premature birth affected you and your parents?
I'm not sure. Well, I was actually speaking to my mum about it last night, and I think for them it was very traumatic. There were complications. My lungs collapsed a few times. I ended up having a double pneumothorax where they drained my chest. And it was back in 1976, and there was no reason given for why I was born at the stage I was. And for a good 7 to 8 weeks, they didn't know what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, everything's fine. I mean, my mum actually said last night that she put it down to the fact that this very strong-looking nurse whacked me on the back, and that's what sorted me out. I'm not so sure, but
That would explain a few things.
it would do. Yeah.
The thing about premature birth, obviously the tragic circumstances of death, but there's also a huge amount of permanent disability that happens due to lungs not being fully formed. And that's also, it's not just about preventing another Freddie, it's about can we keep the babies in the womb for another week? If we could do that for another week, you save the NHS nearly £500 million a year.
Yeah.
Well, slightly just changing to something else.
Yeah.
Professor Stephen Hawking's died. Doddy Weir, one of the most famous Scottish rugby players, has motor neuron disease. I know you're very good friends with him. You were with him a few weeks ago. How important was Professor Stephen Hawking, do you think, just in terms of offering hope to people who have this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a living death sentence, and Doddy is coping unbelievably well. He is at the heart of banter, wit. If you think about rugby tours in a very correct manner, he led from the front. Lions tour in 1997. He will have been hosting, still with his condition, 2,000 to 3,000 people before Scotland battered England at Murrayfield in a massive tartan suit. And he's desperate. Caro talked about the word legacy. Now, he's raising a huge amount of money to try and help research into motor neuron disease. And part of that is a selfish reason, because he wants to live longer with his family, and part of it knows that it's not likely to affect him in terms of living for till he's 60 or 70, but at the same stage, what impact can he have on others?
Yeah. Well, remarkable man, Professor Stephen Hawking, as is Doddy Weir. Actually, amazing courage he's shown finding what must be particularly for a sportsman who's so used to being so active all the time.
Still a fully functioning farmer,
Right.
still out on his bike,
Amazing.
still feeding the sheep. Incredible to go and watch.
Great to see you guys.
Very
Best of
good
luck.
luck with it. When do you
Best of luck.
leave?
Jason goes at 2nd of April,
2nd of April, yeah.
and a couple of days later he does all the graft.
Well, Jason, I think it's fair to say you have the life of a World Cup winning legend in your hands.
There's the
If it
pressure.
was just him, I'd be seriously worried. But like Caro, the fact you're going to be there gives me a little bit of hope.
And the charity is called
Borne,
and you're trying to
B-O-R-N-E,
raise
yeah.
500,000.
Borne.org. To get on there, it's a great charity. We'd like to help them as much as we can. Thanks for coming in.
Great
guys.
to see you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Lost